The difference between a more high-performance Olympic athlete and a more amateur athlete, it does have to do a little bit with talent and skill, and whether you are progressing physically as well in that sport. But a lot of it has to do with whether you're willing to practice mental skills and learn about them and read about mental skills and take that part of it really seriously. Because ultimately, when you get to Olympic Games, the times are, anyone really could win. The top 8 people at the start line of a 100-meter final, probably all run under 10 seconds. They probably could at any time be Olympic champions. So it's a realization that when it comes down to that moment, it really is how I've prepared mentally, what I've done that day in terms of my pre-competition routine, what I've done to get myself ready to run in that moment. And I think a lot of athletes don't take that piece as seriously as they could throughout development. So just like physical preparation and the time that it takes to physically train, that is just as long as it takes to practice mental skills and decide what type of mental skills work best for you. So you need to figure out if visualization, imagery is something that you're comfortable using, that it's something that you can use, that it's helpful to you, the type of self-talk that you're using and employing, and how that helps you if you have a bad performance and need to bounce back from that. But those are all things, 3 years leading up to the Olympics that very high-level athletes need to work on. And usually by the time they get to that level, they really have a good idea of what works well for them and what doesn't work well for them. There are some athletes who are quite superstitious, and you hear a lot in hockey in particular, about players who like to tape their stick a certain way, and if that doesn't happen, then they redo it and start over. But if you don't have time to redo it and start over, then you have to be able to cope with that. So it's also practicing appropriate coping skills so that you know what to expect and that you know that you have control over it. Because something like superstitions tend to be very out of your control to a point, or you think you have control over it, but if something is off, then athletes can feel very out of control. So I think it's knowing that this is a preference and something that I would like to have happen, and if it doesn't happen, then it's okay, and I can still go on and do a good performance. That's sport, and that's why we do sport, and that's why we enjoy sport. So you do have to have a certain amount of comfort that you've done the absolute best you can. It sounds kind of cliche, but that is really what it's about. An athlete has to be able to leave knowing that, I put all on the line, that's the best I could have done.